Am I the a-hole for getting my sister a car for Christmas? I come from a culture where arranged marriages are normal, and out of my 4 sisters, 39, 36, 32, and me, myself and my oldest sister married our boyfriends and we were cut off by our parents, mostly because our husbands weren't rich enough to their standards. My oldest sister, Charlie, was our parents' least favorite, and I wasn't particularly close to her because of our 10-year age difference. After I eloped with my husband when I was 24 and got cut off, things got tight financially for us. We both lost our jobs and could barely afford rent. My in-laws had teenagers to take care of, but they helped us here and there. My parents wouldn't talk to me, and my 2 sisters who married doctors told me I should have let our parents get me a rich husband like they did them, because love don't pay bills, and they stopped picking my calls. Well, I don't blame them. That really hurt. When we were evicted from our apartment, I called Charlie, and her and brother-in-law took us in. She advised me to go back on birth control till we were stable and helped me apply for jobs. While they weren't rich, they let us stay with them for a month and they rented us an apartment and paid a year's worth of rent for us. And then found out they used the money they'd been saving for a romantic getaway on us, and they told us not to pay back. Then my brother-in-law got his friends to invest in my husband's business, while I was able to get a better job. All of this was over 4 years ago. And for this Christmas, we bought Charlie a new luxury car, and my brother-in-law an all-expense-paid trip for their romantic getaway they canceled because of us. Brother-in-law keeps rejecting our gifts, but we knew he wouldn't say no to this. Then brother-in-law made a TikTok that went mini-viral, and now I have family I haven't heard from in 5 years calling us and sending me messages on social media, calling us stingy for being rich and not sharing. We feel a bit guilty, but me more. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. If they don't want a relationship while you were broke, they only want money from you now. Not the a-hole. Good on you for paying it back to your sister and brother-in-law for helping you out. You're obviously not the a-hole. These people went no contact and cut you off. They shunned you. You owe them nothing. Love and support the people who love and support you. OMG, this. Opie's family didn't love her enough for them to accept her husband, and they certainly didn't love him while he was poor. But love isn't something that is wishy-washy. You either love someone or you don't. So them wanting to be part of Opie's life now has nothing to do with family or love or responsibility. It has to do with these people's unadulterated greed. Opie and not the a-hole. Please don't let them in. They'll drain you dry of everything. Your money, your love, your trust, and leave you a hollow shell of your former self. Not the a-hole. You're giving back to those who first believed and invested in you. The family that kicked you out and ignored you until they learned of your success deserved a lump of coal for Christmas. Not the a-hole. Where's all their love don't pay the bills, marry a doctor like us money now? Not the a-hole. I think it's fairly obvious you showed gratitude to people who treated you with kindness during a time of need. Ask your family why they are stingy and never shared with you if they are supposed to be rich, due to their doctor husbands. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my husband's son to Christmas? My husband, 64, has 2 kids, a daughter 35 and son 31. His daughter lives in a different country but is low contact with us, so we have very little to do with her. Their real mother died when they were both in their teens. His son lives only 15 minutes away, and we see him from time to time. He is not a bad guy, just very different to my husband and I. I also have a son of my own, 41. He is a very successful stockbroker, while my husband's son is a moderately successful photographer. My son is married with 3 kids, while my husband's son is still single. This usually causes problems over Christmas, as I like to spend it with my son and his family, and I expect my husband to join. We invited his son along 4 years ago, and even though he did try to fit in, it just wasn't a good fit. He thought it appropriate to show up in jeans and a t-shirt. I was so embarrassed I could hardly look anyone in the eyes. Ever since that year, we decided not to invite him again. This never seemed to be an issue until this year. We showed up at his home early morning. We had plans to go over to my son's house at around 11, so we didn't really have time. So we just dropped off a gift for him and left. He bought nothing for us. Later that day, my husband texted him to ask if he had enjoyed the rest of Christmas, to which he replied, "Oh right, that's what today was. Thanks for the chocolate and 3-minute visit." My husband was very upset by this, but I was outraged. I wanted to contact him and put him in his place, but my husband took my phone away and told me to let it go. It's been 2 days now. Him and my husband are talking again, and both seem to have just moved past it, but I'm still mad. It's not my fault that he is less successful than my family and just can't fit in with us. So, am I the idiot for not inviting my husband's son to Christmas? I think it might slightly be because my husband wasn't super rich until he married me, so his son was raised in a lower class environment, which obviously can't help, but at the same time, it's definitely not my fault either. I feel very conflicted. Just thought I would add this because it keeps coming up. No, I did not tell him about the dress code, but he spent enough time with me and his father that he should have known better. The jeans were also ill-fitting and did not look neat at all. Also, that Christmas didn't take place at my house but at my son's, and he was also quite embarrassed. 1, because this wasn't setting a good example to his young children, and 2, he had other guests over as well, and this did not make a favorable impression on them. You're the a-hole. You knew what you were doing with that visit. It was a drive-by, so he couldn't say you totally ignored him, but it was literally the least effort you could possibly expend and say you saw him on Christmas. If you're gonna pull BS like that, don't be surprised when people call you on it. There's probably a very valid reason for low contact with the other child. Opie sounds like she's not a very warm or accepting individual. You're the a-hole. It's no wonder the daughter is already low contact with you guys. You're the a-hole. The only thing you've mentioned that he did wrong was wearing jeans to a family gathering. You sound like a shallow, snobby person who cares more about appearances than family. Oh no. She also mentions how her son is more successful than him. She cares about money and appearance. She's the Grinch who stole Christmas. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law that her daughter is like her father? My brother has been in prison for well over a decade, serving life. When he went in, he left behind his pregnant girlfriend Anna, but she moved away before she gave birth to their daughter and we fell out of touch. Anna was a medical student at a time and is now a doctor. Their daughter Lucy is 19 and Anna's just started to reconnect with our side of the family. Lucy has started writing to her father in prison and Anna has been emailing with me. I invited them to come and stay with us for Christmas. It was a mistake. When I first met Lucy, I thought she was lovely. She was really polite and friendly, and also ambitious for her future. She's studying economics at a top university and doing very well. We let Lucy hang out with Chloe, my 14-year-old. We thought she'd be a good influence, someone to aspire to be like. Eventually, the topic of Christmas presents came up. We got Chloe some clothes, but Lucy then rubbed into more expensive clothes she got for Christmas, and then said she would be embarrassed to be seen dressed like that in public. Chloe was crying and I was raging. What the hell is wrong with a 19-year-old who bullies a 14-year-old? I told Lucy her words were inappropriate, and she laughed and replied, it's the truth, and that she has to learn eventually. I told Anna it would be best if she and her daughter left. Anna said that Lucy hadn't done anything wrong, and that Chloe was being sensitive. I responded back that Lucy obviously takes after her dad in personality. This really upsets Anna, who left with Lucy. My husband thinks comparing Lucy to my brother was too far, but her behavior is exactly the sort of thing my brother would do when he was younger. He was abnormal even as a young child, and was cruel to younger children and animals. I've had my parents, who they've also reconnected with, calling me asking why their granddaughter is crying, because I said she was like her father. I'm sorry, but if she's going to bully younger kids, I will call out her disgusting behavior. I feel Lucy's not like your brother. She's just like your sister-in-law, who approves of her behavior and enables it. At any rate, while you were rude, it was not uncalled for. Not the a-hole. They asked for it, you gave it to them. Go no contact and live happily ever after. This is a good point. It's obvious that Lucy's mother seemed to support her comments. Lucy's mother was attracted to Opie's brother, so seeing the same traits in her daughter wouldn't strike her as bad. Not the a-hole, at least for me. Your niece is an adult and shouldn't bash on a 14-year-old child. It sucks her dad's in jail, but she seems undisciplined and spoiled. Opie did no wrong in my eyes. Not the a-hole. Her mother should have stepped in, not supported her daughter's actions. If she wasn't going to accept or even acknowledge what they did was wrong, then why not? It might have been somewhat nuclear option, but if you genuinely did see the comparison, then it's reasonable to point it out. It certainly hammered the point home. Sometimes harsh truth/reality checks are needed. Ask your parents if they would rather Chloe be upset after being bullied by a 19-year-old who was then backed up by their mother. Yeah, screw them. Next story. Am I the a-hole for ruining my husband's Christmas? My female 29 husband, male 33, is the breadwinner and I'm a stay-at-home mom. We used to both work, but due to medical problems, I couldn't keep working. As a result, I don't have what they call fun money, or money to spend however I want. My husband gives me money only to spend on the house or the kids, but that's that. I might borrow money here and there or try to figure something out if I needed essential stuff like hygiene products. This Christmas, my husband gave me $600 as my Christmas gift. I freaked out thinking I now have to get him a decent gift to match his. So I went shopping and got him the most affordable thing on his wish list, which was a $180 pair of sneakers with his favorite color. I didn't show him the gift until we visited his parents' house for Christmas, and when it was time for gift opening, he opened the gift, saw the sneakers, and looked extremely upset like he was about to blow up. I asked what's up, and he asked why in the blue hell I decided to waste money and get him sneakers, aka the cheapest gifts on his wish list. I said it's all I can afford, and he literally lashed out and said, BS. I gave you $600. That's about the right price for a new gaming console, and it was right there at the top of my wish list. He said it in front of his parents. It was so awkward, it felt so horrible I wanted to disappear. But I apologized and said I was sorry, but I had other stuff I needed to buy and money wasn't enough. He took it as in I was blaming him for not giving me enough money, and picked an argument with me about how wasteful and financially irresponsible I am. Otherwise, I wouldn't be struggling with money for long. I disagreed and said I don't have a salary due to medical issues, not being irresponsible. Also told him he could get the gaming console himself since he has money, but he got all dramatic and ranted about how he wouldn't, because then he'll be judged for getting anything for himself. His parents tried to get involved, but he straight up told me how disappointed he was, and said that I ruined his Christmas. Then went upstairs and avoided talking to me till we got back and the whole argument restarted. He kept repeating that he was disappointed, and that I ruined Christmas for him, saying, good job screwing up, even after I pointed out how rude it was of him to react like that in front of his parents. He was wanting an apology at the moment and still upset about what I did. Am I the a-hole? Edit. For the record, he used to own an Xbox, but it got broken like 3 years ago. And he didn't want to get himself a new one, saying that there are more important things to focus on. I get why he was disappointed, but I argued with him about the kids' gifts as well, since that matters too. Also, I bought gifts for family members, so I'm not sure if I was right to do that knowing money is tight. My mother-in-law got an expensive gift from him, and so did the rest of the family. Not the a-hole. Your husband is mistreating you. This is literally financial abuse. You deserve money to spend on yourself. Doesn't matter if you don't make a salary. You still do work keeping house. Not only that, but yelling at you like that at all, but especially in front of people, is also abusive. Please look into getting disability or unemployment and get away from him. I came here to say this. Not today, Holo B. Please talk to someone, a friend, a family member, about your relationship with your significant other to get a better perspective. Absolutely not. I'm also the breadwinner for my family, and if I gave my significant other money as a gift, that would be her money. If she didn't spend a penny on me, I would be upset because it was her money. I also tell my significant other to pick whatever she wants for me for Christmas and take it directly out of the checking account, but she has full access to whenever she wants or needs it. You're 100% not the a-hole in this situation, and I'm sorry you're going through that. Also, if $180 sneakers is wasteful spending, then a $600 game console is definitely not what I would consider a cheap, not wasteful, gift. I agree completely, and I thought this is what he wanted, like he told me to pamper myself and spend the money however I want, because it's his gift for me. Like I said, I wanted to get him something I can afford from the list, and a console would have taken all the money. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for gifting my boyfriend things I got for free / made myself, and not something with my own money? I, female 26, have been dating my boyfriend, male 27, for about 10 months. So this was our first Christmas together. For context, we both make a good income. I also have a passion hobby of making candles, which I often give to friends and family. For my work's Christmas party, end of November, we had a raffle, with the prize being a Nintendo Switch, something my boyfriend was considering getting himself. I ended up winning and immediately thought he'd love it. I also wanted to make him 2 candles, one with the main scents of the perfume that I wear that he likes, and a second of scents that he likes. I thought these would be great presents. When opening my presents, he was excited about the Nintendo Switch, but didn't seem that excited about the candles. I wrote little notes with the candles, but he barely even glanced at them. I opened my presents and was super grateful. But then he said he had something to say because it was upsetting him and he wanted us to be able to communicate with each other. He was upset that I had only gotten him 1 real gift when he got me 3, which made him feel underappreciated. I was confused because I thought the candles were real gifts, but asked him what was a real gift. He said it was something you put money and thought into, and that it shouldn't be something he could get if he just asked me for free. I was kind of offended and said that the Nintendo must not be a real gift because I didn't pay for it but got it from work. He got upset, insinuated that I had left his gift last minute, and was getting defensive over it before leaving. We haven't spoken since. Not day home. A gift is something you put time and effort into. A gift shouldn't revolve around monetary aspect. That being said, if he's shown he's not a big fan of candles, and if Opie continues to give them, she would be an a-hole. Not day home. Buying a blanket for your spouse, $10 to $50 depending on material. Making a blanket for your spouse. The price of materials, the price of your time to make, to buy, to design, to fix. Way over $50. That is if you only care about how much money someone spent on you. Someone giving me a candle that they made for me, with special scents, means a lot more than a $10 Bath & Body Works candle. My friend doesn't usually give me presents. We go out to eat for my gift, but with COVID last year we couldn't. So at Christmas, he gave me a little bag, apologizing for what a horrible thing it was and left. I opened it and found 3 small hedgehog statues. My hoggy urchin had died 2 years ago, but my last rescue butter had died about a month before Christmas. The 3 little statues were so freaking cute and sentimental I started to cry. Screw a $30 meal. These are worth far more because he gave them from the heart. Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé that his best friend cannot come to the wedding? I, 26 female, and my fiancé, 27 male, are planning our big day, summer 2021. He wanted to ask his best friend, John, 27 male, to be best man, and I vetoed it. John dated my sister, 28 female, back in college. Is how I met my fiancé, and they ended it on a pretty bad note. My sister's my maid of honor, and I didn't want there to be tension at the altar. And my fiancé understood that and John was cool with it. I just didn't want any drama. Last Friday, my sister was over visiting me. Fiancé was working, and she said, I heard John's going to be at the wedding. I don't think I want to go with him there. And although I can understand why my fiancé wanted John to be there, I wanted my sister there even more. So I assured her that I would talk to my fiancé about this. Later, when fiancé came home, I sat him down and talked about the previous discussion I had with my sister. And to say the least, he was not okay with it. Saying stuff like, first, not best man, fine. Not a groomsman? Okay, whatever. But now I can't even be at the wedding? No. I told him I'd rather have my sister than John, a person that isn't even related to you at the wedding. And I pleaded he would at least hear me out. He didn't. He left the house and had been crashing at John's place since. I don't know. Am I the a-hole here? Like, it makes sense to me. Blood sister outweighs best friends, right? Just wanted some outside perspective from internet strangers. I hate airing drama to people I actually know. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole. Unless John did something criminal to your sister, you should blame her for not putting you first on your wedding day. Because right now, you aren't putting your sister over John. You're putting your sister before your fiancé. Edit to add. Willing to change my vote if OP's sister has a valid reason to not want to be around John. OP says sister cheated on John and he left her. You're the a-hole. The sister should have lost maid of honor when she complained. She was the cause of the problems in the relationship. I can't believe the audacity that she thinks she can dictate who is there to support the groom, let alone have sole control of the guest list. I'll take sweepstakes on the groom dumping her entitled behind within 3 years. You're the a-hole, obviously. OP, your fiancé might be lucky and can avoid marrying someone with as low morals as you. Your sister cheated on John, and he is getting punished because your sister couldn't keep her loose legs closed? You're the a-hole. Actually, the biggest a-hole is your sister. She's demanding that another guest cannot attend because that is outside her comfort zone. Tell your sister that is not her wedding. Your fiancé has already acquiesced and had John step down as a groomsman. You need to shut your sister down and remind her that it isn't her wedding, and she's not going to be calling the shots. From OP's comments, emphasis mine. To give more context about that, my sister cheated on John and he ended it. My sister says it's just too awkward to be around him, which I can understand. I don't think they would actively fight each other. The last time they were in the same room, a barbecue we had before COVID, they just stayed polar opposite of each other. But I want my sister to be there for me, and I didn't think inviting John would cause fiancé to react how he's reacting. You're the a-hole. Wow, OP. This is his best friend since kinder, and yet somehow, I didn't think inviting John would cause fiancé to react how he's reacting. What did you think would happen? Yeah, obviously your cheating sister shouldn't have to feel uncomfortable. Next story. Am I the a-hole for making my sister leave my wedding reception after her son acted up during my ceremony? I got married this past Saturday. It was a very small affair with less than 70 people in attendance. I opted for a child-free wedding due to both costs and convenience. I like kids, just not at my wedding. Most people were fine with the child-free aspect. The wedding was announced a year in advance, so most people could find accommodations. The problem is my sister, who was one of 4 bridesmaids. She has 2 boys. One is 2 and other is 5. Thursday, she drops that her sitter fell through, and she asked for them to be allowed at the wedding. I felt pressured, but she begged for them to come. I told her as long as they behaved, and her husband kept an eye on them. She was late getting to the venue because the boys were fuzzy getting ready, so she's only in a handful of the getting ready pics. Fine, okay. Then the ceremony itself happened, and my nephew, younger one, began to act up during the vows. My husband and I wrote our own, and about halfway through mine, he begins to cry and fuzz. My brother-in-law grabbed him and very awkwardly made his way out, with my older nephew behind telling his brother to shush. I had to restart my vows twice due to the disruption. I was already nervous. The venue was outdoor as well, so we could hear my nephew fuzzing for a while until my brother-in-law got them a good distance away. I didn't see this at the time, but according to the best man, my sister was dramatically shooing her husband out. After the ceremony itself, my sister vanished for a while, so we were held up with the wedding party photos again. After the pictures, my sister didn't even say anything. No apology, nada. After the first dances, she finally came up and was like, haha, sorry about nephew. It was nap time. He's settled now. It was such a non-apology and I was so upset. I told her I didn't like how dismissive she was of my wedding and how I broke my own rule to accommodate her family and she didn't seem to care. She said she was sorry again, but I was blowing things out of proportion and how it wasn't as big of a disruption as I was making out to be. I was just boiling at this point. I'd asked her to please go. I didn't want her there anymore. She and our mom was upset, and she was acting like a victim. She and I still haven't talked. I've had a lot of people, mostly friends, say I was in the right. But my family seems to think I'm a bridezilla because the disruption had already happened and I was just punishing them. I'm not angry at my nephew. I'm angry at myself for bending on my child-free rules and my sister for everything, especially her half-baked apology. She's an a-hole for bringing them and making you feel pressured when you already set up boundaries and preferences for that situation exactly. Not an a-hole. Maybe it's me, but I would have told her, sorry if you can't find a sitter. Then you or brother-in-law have to miss out. I already am anxious enough I don't need to risk a speech disruption. Maybe then you'd have been made out to be a bridezilla too though. It is a big deal. A deal that only happened because she made you, which she basically did. I hope you could have said no, but then sister/family would have probably went off about that, and she'd have more drama right before the wedding. Make an exception on your day, and it ended up interrupting your vows. She proceeds to give a pathetic attempt at an apology to save face, but seems to be vaguely gaslighting you in the process, which is why I guess you ended up asking her to leave, because who does that on a day like that? At least fake through an apology and accept responsibility. This is why I opt for eloping. Haha, can't win for losing. I originally wanted to elope, but it just never seems to happen that way. Part of the post I had to remove was that I originally told her she could bring them to the reception only, but not the ceremony. She really pleaded for them to come to both, and like an idiot, I agreed. 2 infants were also in attendance, a 10-month-old and 4-month-old, my husband's cousin's kid and a friend's child respectively. But during the ceremony, cousin's wife watched the babies in the bridal suite. I was gonna let my brother-in-law do the same, but my sister didn't want him to miss the ceremony. Not the A-Hall. Shocked at the number of your A-Hall replies here. I don't love traditional weddings, I don't understand not inviting kids, but it's your day. You gave people a year of advance notice, and you actively tried not to be a bridezilla by accommodating your sister's kids. She should never have put you in that position. Not the A-Hall. It's unfortunate she couldn't find accommodations, but couldn't her husband just have taken care of them at home? You held up your wedding multiple times for it, and honestly, I'd want to be done with it all too. She knew it was nap time, and instead of having her child sleep it off somewhere with her husband, she brought the child to your vows so he could scream like every child does when they're tired. The wedding was over, she got to attend, that's really the end of it. The reception is just eating dinner and some dancing anyway. Wait, you're right. She probably knew the baby would get fuzzy at the time of the ceremony. Sister is either lazy, selfish, or plotting. While I understand parenting is hard, I feel like she could have managed to figure this stuff out. I appreciate your enthusiasm, but I don't think this was some nefarious or ill-intentioned thing. We don't have a bad or strained relationship. She has no reason to purposely sabotage me. It's absolutely possible to do something in accident and still be a jerk. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom's husband his hurt feelings aren't my job to fix? My 34 male baby sister 24 female is getting married. Our dad died when I was 15 and she was 5, and our mom remarried to Roger when I was heading off to college. My sister came to me recently and asked if I would do the traditional father of the bride stuff at her wedding. She said having me to do it was the closest to having dad, and I agreed. I was so damn happy and honored, and my baby sister means everything to me. Only, Roger is pissed and hurt that he was overlooked and wasn't asked to any kind of parent of the bride role in the wedding. Roger came to me about 2 weeks ago when my sister started doing some of the planning, and he told me he was hurt that his daughter didn't want him to do it, and was instead overlooked for a brother who, while close to her, didn't raise her like he did. And that the same could be said for her want of a connection to our dad. That he was the one who raised her, not dad, and he felt like he was being pushed aside for a ghost. He went on and on about his feelings, and he asked me to do him a solid and tell her to get him instead. I told him no, and that his hurt feelings aren't my job to fix. He said my response was very cold, and my mom is hurt I didn't put more of an effort in to encourage my sister to include him. She wanted me to want my sister to have her living dad be there for this important moment and this important role. I have family weighing in left and right, and honestly, I am pissed. The reason I am approaching this post at all is my grandpa, who I love and trust as much as almost anyone, told me I could have been more sensitive in my rejection to his request. And while he couldn't judge harshly, the man had done his best to be there for my sister. So tell me, people of Reddit, am I the a-hole? Edited to add, he and I had a very rough start. It isn't my mom's wedding, at the reception actually. He asked me to start calling him my sister's dad, because he felt it would help her frame it that way, and because I'm married to your mom now and will be raising your sister as my daughter, and I feel like it is better now that we start as we mean to proceed. He was not happy when I told him no, though he never did breathe a word to my mom about that encounter either. We had a fight of sorts a few years later because I chose to attend a party in my dad's family versus attending a funeral for someone in his. I'm not sure about my sister. I just know she never ever liked him calling himself her dad, and she never saw him as her dad. Now for the top comments. Not today, Hull. This isn't even your call. This is your sister's decision. Have your family talk to her, or better yet, they should accept that she has made her choice and they can all deal with it. They are all adults, as is she. Your family is being petty about their own feelings. This is about your sister and her wants. You were right that stepdad's feelings are not your responsibility. Yeah. What if the brother said okay and told his sister he wouldn't do it and why? I can't imagine her response would be to then ask her stepfather. If it was me, my next decision would be to have no one do it. Not today, Hull. Although I agree with your grandpa, he could have been more sensitive. It's not reasonable for him to ask you to tell her to get him instead, but it is reasonable to feel hurt, and you could have acknowledged that. Maybe he should have been more sensitive as well, though. He didn't raise her, I did, is a very messed up thing to say about her dead father. It's not like the man was a deadbeat and left. He died, and Roger didn't come into the picture until she was 8. Did he really expect Obi to give a cordial reaction when what he said was low-key disrespectful? Not today, Hull. Your sister wants you to walk her down the aisle. It's her wedding, and it's what she wants. Period. Roger needs to stop making it all about him and start acting like that father claims to be and accept her decision. Right now, he's acting like a whiner. The last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for losing my cool on my father-in-law after he said no alcohol at my wedding? Context. Me, 28 male, and my fiancé, female 23, are getting married this summer. Wedding planning already started, and we're both paying for everything. No outside help. I get along with my fiancé's family, but my only issue is with her recovering alcoholic dad. The guy's basically a punk. He did it all. Stole, cheat, went to jail. He's the your mom was my girlfriend type of guy. What can I say? It's a small town, everyone knows each other. My fiancé is his only daughter, and she's always worrying too much about him, helping him with money, helping him with his living situation, and supported him in his recovery. We remain civil for the sake of all that's holy, but disagree often. He sat me down days ago to tell me about his journey in recovery and how challenging his experience was. He said he wants no alcohol at the wedding whatsoever. I was taken aback. I said that's not gonna work for me and my family. He said it's okay, we can have alcohol after the wedding is over. So after everyone has left? Absolutely not. I told him I'm sorry if he has an issue with alcohol at the wedding, but it's the norm, and he shouldn't dictate the wedding just because he thinks he needs to be accommodated. He said firmly that he doesn't understand why I'm choosing to satisfy my family, who can't spend one night without drinking liquor that tastes like urine to be my hill to die on. Funny coming from the man who gave up all he had for a drink. But let's not be so mean right now and weaponize his past. It's just one night is right. But of all nights, this is legitimately the night where alcohol should be available since, you know, it's a celebration. Long story short, he went on about me, making the whole wedding about me and my family when I shouldn't. I flipped the hell out, lost my cool and told him it doesn't get a say. We argued till we were blue in the face and he refused to stand down. When I shouted that I'd uninvite him, he shouted back that that's his only daughter and he should be present at her wedding. I spoke to my fiancée. She says she's torn on this issue since she's happy and proud of her dad's progress and wants him to be at her wedding, and I shouldn't have spoken to him this way. My in-laws calling me an a-hole for taking my father-in-law's recovery lightly and refusing to do as suggested. I am the a-hole? Someone in recovery should know that an addict cannot expect everyone to accommodate their addiction. He can stay home if it's too hard to be at the wedding. Not today, Hull. Not today, Hull. My stepdad is an alcoholic, and he never asked me about this. He knew I was having booze at my wedding, and it was up to him to do what he needed to do to stay clean. Between my stepmother, in-laws, and my mom's family, no way was I doing that sober. My wife and I are both alcoholics in recovery, and we had an open bar to our wedding for our guests. Also an exit plan. Always an exit plan. Not today, Hull. But your another poster is missing the forest for the trees. Alcohol at the reception is the trees. The forest? You got a big forest. Think about these statements and what they foreshadow for your married life. My fiancé is always worrying too much about him, helping him with money, helping him with his living situation. And your big fight with her dad? She says she's torn on this issue, and I shouldn't have spoken to him this way. You and her need to settle the issue of her dad's place in your lives, and how you are going to settle disputes that involve him in the future. This, 100% not Dayhal. And I definitely agree that Opie needs to have a conversation with fiancé. They need to set boundaries regarding father-in-law now before they get married and are legally tied together, because this could cause loads of contention down the road if hard lines aren't set in place. Not Dayhal. The wedding is about you and your fiancé. You get to decide details. Am I the a-hole for exposing my ex-husband for taking the gift I got for my son's 16th birthday? My female 36 ex-husband, male 37, divorced me after I got diagnosed with cancer. He made it all about him, then blamed me for our marriage failing. Got married to a 23-year-old woman who calls me by mocking nicknames. I try to have a good co-parenting relationship. I have a 16-year-old son who lives in both houses. His 16th birthday was days ago, and I bought him a console and sent it to his dad's house in advance since I was out of town and couldn't attend the birthday celebration. 2 days later, one day before the birthday, my ex-husband called saying he opened the gift I got for our son, used it, and broke it. I was in dismay when he told me, and I started arguing with him about paying for it to replace it. But he started pleading, saying he has no money, and asked that I either send another gift, didn't have to be a console, or just tell our son I didn't send him a gift. I told him no way I was going to lie to my son, but he kept begging, saying he'll pay me back once he's able. I ended a call with him, then immediately called my son to let him know what his father did to his birthday gift. A huge fight ensued, and my ex-husband called me yelling, saying I not only ruined our son's birthday celebration, but ruined his relationship with him over a stupid console that he was going to pay for, but that I was being spiteful trying to one-up him. My son went to stay at my place with my current husband, and hasn't been speaking to his dad. His dad is blaming me because our son refused to stay and celebrate his birthday there after finding out what his dad did. My ex-husband's wife berated me in a long text talking about how I caused a scene and used my son as a tool to get back at his dad when I could have worked things out like a mature adult. She said she doesn't get me and that there's something wrong with my personality. She even claimed she would be a better, more mature mom than me that never involved her kids in her fights with her partner. I was upset by her lecture and felt maybe I mishandled the situation and made a hasty decision. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. Your ex is a piece of work. First, he should never have opened a present. And second, how the heck do you break a console that fast? I don't know what it was, of course, but like, I have a Switch and an Xbox, and they've both taken quite a few good knocks over the years with no issue. You sure you didn't just return or pawn it? Edit. After some more thought and discussion below, I 100% think he stole it. Whether he pawned, returned, or kept it for himself, I don't know. But I just have trouble believing he just somehow broke a console beyond repair and binned it without discussion, and nobody else around. It's just way too suspicious. Right, I don't see how he broke it so quick. Like, I've dropped my PS4 a couple of times and the thing is old, and still not broke. Also, Opie, you're not stay home, and I'd block your ex-husband's wife and only talk to your ex-husband about your son. The stepmom needs to step out of it because she doesn't get a say. And your ex can't be mad if his son won't talk to him anymore. He's annoying. And he didn't have to open his son's gift when it was for the son, not him. Not stay home. What kind of a grown man opens his kid's birthday gift, uses it, and just like magic, breaks it? I'm ready to bet he broke the gift on purpose because he didn't buy your son anything and didn't want to look like a loser. Of course, for them it's okay for your son to believe that his mother didn't bother buying him a gift, but it's not okay for your son to know that his father is a selfish idiot. Also, the fact that the son believes his mom probably shows he knows what kind of a-hole his dad is. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole, and you need to tell the ex's new wife to sit down and shut the heck up. You are co-parenting with a father, not her. She's the type that has a loud mouth and acts like she's older than me and knows better, always criticizing me, and getting herself involved in any arguments that occur. Big girls fix their mistakes. And since you're so insistent on putting yourself in affairs that don't concern you and trying to be the better mom, why don't you be a doll and cash up for the new console? Not the a-hole, obviously. And how does a console just break without a foul intent? You don't have to play nice with condescending leeches. Next story. Am I the a-hole for siding with my daughter when she said she doesn't want to stand up for her stepsister? I, 48 female, have been with my husband, 50 male, for 6 years now. I have a daughter, Bex, 16 female, from a previous relationship, and he has a daughter, Stella, 16 female, from his previous relationship. Bex and Stella go to the same school. Bex is a cheerleader while Stella is a quiet person. She likes to keep to herself and doesn't have a lot of friends. Bex, on the other hand, is friends with the whole cheer squad. Recently, Stella informed my husband and I that some other girls at school, who are not friends with Bex, have been picking on her during lunch. Stella doesn't want to involve the school because she would get into trouble for other unrelated matters. So my husband asked Bex if she could stand up for Stella and tell the other girls to back off. He feels that since Bex is a popular cheerleader, people will listen to her. Why he thinks this, I have no idea. Anyway, Bex said no. She said she doesn't want to fight someone else's fight. She doesn't want to make herself a target either. My husband then asked me if I could ask Bex. I did, and she said no again. I informed my husband that she rejected. He got angry and told that Bex is a spoiled blonde princess who thinks she's a nicer version of Regina George. Literally said that. My ex is a lawyer, single and no other child, so she does have some nice stuffs. And went on a rant about how popular girls have an easy time just being on the sidelines and not doing anything to stop bullying. I told him that while it would be a nice thing for Bex to stand up for Stella, she isn't obligated to do anything. At dinner, he brought it up again. Stella was quiet and didn't say anything, and when Bex said no again, he started yelling at her. I yelled at him, told him to leave Bex alone, and he stormed off. Bex has since then staying with her father. Yesterday, my husband tried to call Bex, but my ex answered and told him to leave her alone. He then started telling me to talk to her. I said I already did, and she said no, and I wasn't going to force her. He called me an a-hole and hasn't spoken to me since. Am I the a-hole? Edit. For everyone asking, the reason Stella says she doesn't want the school involved is that she cheated on a test. But Bex has told me that Stella once used a racial slur which is strictly against school policy. But Stella hasn't confessed to that. Not the a-hole. This is just wrong. A grown man harassing a teenager? Your ex is a lawyer. Do you see where this might end up? Opie seems to be an a-hole to her daughter, so I think everyone sucks here except Bex. If someone called my daughter a spoiled Regina George and bullied her in her own home, there would be some serious consequences. I wouldn't be questioning whether I was being the bad guy with my husband or a step-kid, who might even be an instigator here, given that she thinks she will face consequences from the school if she goes to them about the bullying. What a terrible situation to put Bex in. Hopefully, she can stay at her dad's and Opie will apologize and prioritize visiting her and taking her out one-on-one. Your husband is a bully. Yelling at and then calling a 16-year-old to continue arguing with her? Wow, not appropriate. Being popular in school is a slippery slope. Just because Bex is hanging out with a bunch of girls doesn't mean she controls the group. Plus, if the group picking on Stella isn't in any way related to the cheerleader group, she has no pull. So not only is it not Bex's responsibility to fix this, she probably can't. Lastly, why can't Stella defend herself? Why is she helpless? And why can't she go to the school? If she's going to get in trouble if she tells, then there's a bigger issue here. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend it's weird that she wants to name our son after her dad's ex-boyfriend? My 31 male girlfriend's 30 female ex-boyfriend passed away 7 years ago from sickle cell disease. They shared a son together who is 9 years old. I adore him and look after him like he's my own. As for us, we began dating 3 years ago and everything has been going really great. She is currently 6 months pregnant and we are having a boy. We're both really excited, but there is tension between us because she suggested that we name our son after her ex-boyfriend, which I instantly said no to. That's definitely not happening. So she then asked if it could be his middle name then because it would mean a lot to her. I told her it's extremely weird because our kid has absolutely no relation to her ex-boyfriend, and it's offensive to me to have our son named after a dead guy that she used to date. She got all crappy with me and said I was disrespectful and wasn't taking her feelings into consideration, blah blah blah, and then told me to remember that dead guy she used to date is the real father of her son. I don't think it was fair to rub that in my face, so now we're both pissed off with each other. I genuinely think it was out of line for her to even ask me that, not to mention inappropriate. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. I can't believe she threw that real father statement in your face. That makes her the a-hole, pregnant or not. She should have named his child after him, not yours. I don't think she's the a-hole for asking. The middle name suggestion was a pretty good compromise as well, but it is his kid too. And I'm sure if I was in this situation, I'd have a Randy Jackson "that's a no from me dog" reaction. She turned into the a-hole as soon as she had to remind him that he's not her son's real father. Not the a-hole. F that. That isn't his kid. It's your kid. That is insanely disrespectful, and I can't believe someone would suggest naming a child she had with her current boyfriend after an ex. That is a huge red flag, my man. Not the a-hole. She has a whole kid from her ex. Why does your son have to be named after him? Is she still in love with her dead boyfriend? She needs to get some counseling. That isn't her ex's son at all. Her asking to name him after the ex is so inappropriate and weird. To be fair, I feel like it's valid to still love someone who passed away even if you're in another relationship. But you can't let that influence your current relationship and make your significant other name his child after the guy. I feel bad for her. She needs therapy, it sounds like, to get over the big stuff. Next story. Am I the a-hole for implying that my boyfriend is cheap because of the Valentine's Day gift he got me? I, female 31, have been with my boyfriend, male 37, who's a single dad with 2 boys for 2 years. He has a decent job with decent income and is into woodworking as a hobby. For Valentine's Day, birthdays, and every other celebration, he'd gift me mostly jewelry, and I get him his favorite gadgets or sports gear. For this Valentine, I got him sneakers, and I found out today that his gift for me was a wooden framed photo of him, me, and the kids. I gotta say, I wasn't thrilled with it. When I told my boyfriend my honest opinion, I didn't want to open my mouth, but he pushed me. He said he couldn't believe this was my reaction. But I pointed out that he has money too for a $200 necklace at least, so I could wear it at the engagement party. But he said I was out of line to imply he was being cheap, when all he was doing was to make me a special gift. I'd also had kids help with it and put so much thought and effort in it, because they see me as a family and I should be appreciative of that. I said I was, but still thought he could have added a necklace as a great combo, but he got even more mad, saying he couldn't understand why I'd value a necklace as much as, or even over a special gift he and the kids made for me. We went back and forth on this and breakfast got ruined. He went upstairs and refused to speak to me. I feel like he blew this out of proportion since he asked for my opinion, and I don't know if he has the right to be upset with me now. Am I the a-hole? For Valentine's Day, birthdays, and every other celebration, he'd gift me mostly jewelry. So you don't have enough jewelry yet? How many necks do you have? Yeah, he has more than a right to be upset with you. Wear an old necklace and appreciate what you have with this man and his kids. You're the a-hole. Plot twist? Opie's a giraffe. But I'm gonna say it. A $200 necklace really is not great anyway. If you're gonna be shallow, go all the way. You're the a-hole. I'm assuming he made a frame, which takes a lot of time and effort. Every minute of the project he would be thinking of you. Then I found a photo of him and his kids and you. He is literally presenting you with an image of you as part of his family. And you're complaining as it's not worth a lot. Do you know the minimum value of the wood? Then add that to his time. Entitled much? I'm wondering if the image of the family together is something that he was planning to make happen, with an engagement ring at dinner, a more intimate affair than breakfast with family. And he was really asking how she felt about being in that picture and not the gift itself. Definitely Opie is the a-hole. Wonder if he holds back on that ring. I agree. Opie may have just showed their true colors and made him do a rethink. This could be life-changing. You're the a-hole. His gift is awesome and amazing. The fact that you're upset because of the dollar value is sad. There are things in life that are more important than money. Those 3 people in that picture and who made that frame are more valuable than a necklace. I mean, the dollar value actually is probably quite high if you consider the time it took him to do it, and his hourly pay plus the time it took to go buy the materials, and of course the price of the materials. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for being ungrateful that my boyfriend keeps getting me chocolate? So my boyfriend and I have been together for 8 months, and we get along and everything. I don't like chocolate, except dark chocolate, like J.R. Mints. I had a dairy allergy when I was a kid, and even though I outgrew it for the most part, I just don't like chocolate. My boyfriend seems to think he'll get me to like chocolate because all girls like chocolate and it's weird I don't. He's given me chocolates for every holiday, either with a different gift or chocolate was the gift. He tells me to just try it, so I do, and end up disliking it, so he eats it. It's annoying to put thought into his gift, and he keeps purposely getting me something I dislike. We did Valentine's yesterday and he gave me 3 things of chocolate. I was sorta annoyed. It is said I was being ungrateful and Valentine's is a chocolate holiday, so what do you expect? My ex-boyfriend one time got me donuts for Valentine's Day because he knew I hated chocolate. I told him I'm never going to like chocolate, and it's not funny or whatever he thinks it is. He said most girls like chocolate, and I should be happy that he even remembers to get a gift. That it's not his fault I'm so picky. Maybe he's right, and I'm just being stubborn or something. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. He is demonstrating, repeatedly, that you do not matter to him. Believe him. Also, that he's using Opie to get himself a gift. He knows she doesn't like chocolate, but he does. So he uses trying to convince her to get himself chocolate. Next, it will be all girls like bowling balls that say Homer. Not stay home. Find someone better. You don't need to put up with this. Yeah, 8 months in, and his true colors already showing. She really should call it quits. What happens next time when he buys something else she's not into, but comes away with, but all other girls like that? He is very selfish. Wouldn't be surprised if he bought the chocolates in the hope that he gets to eat them, because he knows she won't. Not stay home. If you've specifically told him, I don't like this thing, but he keeps giving it to you anyway, then he has no respect for your opinion. Honestly, when I see chocolate or flowers given as a gift to a woman, all I think is that dude giving it have zero thought. It's generalizing, and frankly sexist to assume all women appreciate that. Yep, can't believe I had to scroll this far to see someone point out that believing stereotypes about women over what this particular woman has told him repeatedly, what she does and doesn't like is so sexist. Opie, find someone who treats you like an individual and not a physical embodiment of their idea of a woman. Am I the a-hole for telling my stepdaughter to leave the house after she called me a homewrecker? My stepdaughter and I don't have a good relationship. I have been in her life since she was 9. Her father and I started dating 3 months after he filed for divorce. We were colleagues for a short while about a year before their divorce, but we didn't have any relationship back then. I left the firm just 6 months after we started working together. I didn't even think about him once till we reconnected at a party hosted by one of our colleagues. His ex-wife thinks that we had an affair with me. There's nothing we can do to convince her otherwise. She told her daughter about her suspicions when she was around 13. We had a great relationship till then, and I tried to tell her that her dad didn't cheat. She doesn't believe us. It is just our words against her mother, and the timeline does look a bit suspicious. She withdraws from me, and she has always been distant since then, and sometimes she made some remarks about her father being a cheater, and it was very hard on both of us. It was something we tried to talk about, but it was just our words against her mother's, and she truly believed it. She returned home for a summer break after her freshman year in college. She decided to spend most of the time with her mother, but she does visit us a few times. She visited us 2 days ago, and she was in a remarkably bad mood. She was just stewing in silence and watching something on TV when I asked her to turn the volume down as I was working. She blew up on me. She called me a homewrecker and a gold digger. She accused me of ruining her parents' marriage. I was stunned and shocked, and it hurt me. I knew she didn't like me, but she clearly hated me. I think her calling me a gold digger hurt the most. I am at the stage of my career where I want to switch to something less stressful, but one of the reasons I don't is because we don't want her to be burdened by debt. I love this girl, even if she didn't care about me. I asked her to leave the house and come back when she could be a bit calmer. She left the house, and she's not talking to her father. He tried to talk to her, but she is not speaking to him. I feel incredibly guilty. I should have handled it better. I got too emotional about it. I really can't blame her for believing what her mom told her. If my mom told me something similar about my dad, I would have believed it. I can't blame her mother too. If you believe that your spouse cheated, wouldn't you tell your children at some point? I let her words get to me, and I may hurt my husband's relationship with her. I feel guilty as hell. My husband also thinks that I should have been calmer here and just let her vent a bit before talking to her. Now for the top comments. No one else here except for her mom. That poor girl has been poisoned by her mother, but can you blame her? It's her mom telling her that stuff. You can't expect someone, who was 13 at the time of being told, to be a detective to find out if it was the truth. I bet her heart was broken because she loves her dad. But I also don't expect you to put up with it. You're innocent, even if the timeline is suspicious. You shouldn't have to put up with verbal mistreatment from anybody. Maybe you could have handled it better, but you could have handled it a lot worse too. The daughter is still the a-hole regardless of what she believes. She was in Opie's home, where she herself does not live, and disrespected her. If she is so adamant that her mother is telling the truth, then she should see her father outside of Opie's home, or alternatively at least be civil whilst in Opie's home and in Opie's company. No guest should ever disrespect the host in their own home. If they hate the host so much, then they should leave. Yep. At some point, you have to acknowledge that she's an adult and is not even attempting to hear the other side. Her mom may have lit the fire, but daughter is keeping it fueled. Not Dayhal. She was incredibly rude to you in your own home, and she's an adult, not a hormonal teen anymore. Your husband should be firm with her, but is probably afraid of losing her altogether. Invite her back now that everyone is calm and show a united front. Tell her the facts of your relationship, that you pay her way, and that you love her. Also tell her that her rudeness won't be tolerated in your house. She might be unhappy, but she can't sit on your settee watching your TV and expect to treat you like dirt. I feel like this is really important for Opie to see. Right now, based upon what Opie wrote, it appears that the ex-wife has lied/slandered, the daughter bought it, and now Opie is stuck with living that lie. But that's not how it works. Just because someone else lies about you doesn't obligate you to maintain the lie or fall into line with the accusation. The accusation is a lie. You don't have to accept it. You can sit the daughter down and flatly deny the lie. In fact, you can call the lie a lie, and you can make it clear that when she's with you, you do not tolerate the lie. You are not a homewrecker and will not accept being treated like one. Repeating her mother's lie is not allowed in your home because it's a lie. This young woman is a victim of her mother's lies about you. The bio mom is the main a-hole here. But those lies do not excuse stepdaughter's behavior towards you in your home. Yes, you could have handled it better, but we are human beings. We're imperfect. Tell her you are sorry for telling her to leave, but that you were upset because you did not have an affair with your husband while he was still with the bio mom. You are not the a-hole. Forgive yourself too. Now for the next story. Would I be the a-hole if I changed my last name from my stepfather's back to my dad's? When I-18 male was 7, my dad died. My parents weren't together when he died. My mom met my stepfather when I was 9, married him when I was 11. He had a daughter and a nephew as racing, technically his ex's nephew. Neither of them had his last name, and so after the wedding, they decided he would adopt me and his nephew and all our names would be changed. I didn't want either and said so. They told me it was important for practical reasons, but also it would be nice to have a family name, and that I could see it as having my mom's name if that made it easier. It didn't. When it came time for everything to happen, I spoke out against it in court, and the judge decided to reject the adoption appeal for me, but allow the name changed. So I ended up with a family name. I always knew I wanted to change it back, and a couple of months ago I moved out and started the process. I had the forms on my kitchen table when my grandparents stopped by. They saw them, told me I needed to tell my mom and stepfather what I'd planned, and that if I didn't, they would. They also told my stepfather's parents, and then I had 6 people tell me, after I told my mom and stepfather, it would be cruel to change my last name back after everything my stepfather had done for me. That considering my stepfather wanted to adopt me still and had asked again and still wanted to when I said no, showed he loved me and was a true dad. They said I could always add my dad's name back to it, but stepfathers should stay. I said no. My grandpa suggested moving my stepfather's name to the middle, but my middle name is my dad's first name, and I want it to stay, and I don't want a second double name. So that is all out. I told them there are no compromises I would consider. They told me it would be rude to go ahead with it knowing how they feel. Would I be the a-hole if I changed my last name? They're a-holes. Change it back and don't budge on anything. That's your dad, and they had no right taking his name from you. You're not the a-hole. 100% agree. Opie lost his dad, which is incredibly traumatic. Removing dad's last name is like removing him from Opie's life for good. That last name is his only tie to his dad, and it was cruel AF for them to force change his last name. So go ahead, Opie, and change it back to your dad's name if that's what you want. You're old enough to make your own choices. Not the a-hole. You're 18. You've known since you were 11 you wanted your birth dad's name. This should come as no shock to anyone who knows you. Change your name to make you happy. If others don't like it, they can lump it. Not the a-hole. It's insane that they would force you to change your name when your father passed away. It's not like he was a deadbeat or some awful person. I honestly can't believe they forced you to do it when you've been adamantly against it since childhood. Being a step-parent isn't about getting kudos or being called a certain name or anything. I've been raising my stepson without his bio mom in the picture since he was a baby, and he still calls me by my first name and would never pressure him not to. Parenting is a selfless task, and kids shouldn't have to meet some requirements for it. If you want to change your name, then absolutely do it. If your stepdad has an issue with it, then he's a step-parent for the wrong reasons. I'm sorry your family put you through this. They're a-holes, not you. Not the a-hole. I second everything this very okay individual has said. As a stepfather, I can hardly imagine doing what your stepfather did to you 7 years ago. The extreme deficit of empathy it would require to force his name in place of your recently deceased father is mind-blowing. In my opinion, this is obvious emotional mistreatment. I am even further angered to read that a court allowed him to force his change on you. Opie, I can tell you from experience that there is no practical reason why this name change was important or necessary. My 2 stepsons have their father's last name, and over the years we've been a family. It has made zero practical difference at all. Not once ever. Next story. Am I the a-hole for saying my stepdad isn't a father figure? My stepdad's 45 male and my 17 male relationship was strained since my mom found him. He is more of a real man do this kind of guy. He was in the army, mandatory service, and now acts like a drill sergeant at times, when he was discharged 3 weeks into his service because he illegally got away. Some loophole in the law. And my bio dad, 50 male, and my mom, 47 female, divorced 15 years ago for my dad's problems. After spending 20 plus years working 8 to 12 hours a day on his computer, he got back pain and had a lot of surgeries. He started working from home and became an alcoholic and had depression for almost a year, and my mom divorced him. Now my dad has been sober for 10 plus years and now works from home since he still has back problems. We are very close, and he ingrained to my head the dangers about alcohol and take care of your back before it gets very bad. My mom found my stepdad around 5 to 6 years ago, and in that time frame, I learned about his double standards and horrible views.
My brother, 19 male, lives with us. My stepdad always treated us very differently. My brother got always listened to and respected, even when he stole and lied, while I get labeled a disrespectful brat when I try to correct my mom or my stepdad. My stepdad views men getting abused as being weak and says they deserve it. He also views having a health issue as being lazy. Not going to the army no matter what the reason was is because he is not a man. A day doesn't pass without him giving me crap for my dad's decisions and him not paying for his child support. Long story short, my mom wanted my dad to pay 1,000 euro each for my brother and me each month when he was making 300 euros a month. But outside this, he is a likable-ish guy. To a new person, he gives this chill and likable vibe. He laughs a lot and jokes a lot. When a convo is turning into an argument, he makes jokes to distract everyone from the argument. Yesterday, I went out for a job interview and came back with news that I got a job. By my math, I can move out in 6 months. When I told my mom and stepdad this, they were surprised. My mom was happy, but my stepdad waited 30 minutes and told me that I was a disrespectful brat for not staying longer. 6 months away I will hit 18 and he wants to charge me rent then. He said, "I have been your father for 6 years and you're just gonna leave me?" I responded with, "My dad lives behind the corner, not here." Then he went on for 5 minutes about disrespect and the entire mile. So I just went to my room and called a couple of my friends and ranted about the situation. Some said it was unreasonable, and some said I was in the wrong. So am I the a-hole? Note, I can go on about my stepdad's character for hours on end. He is a pissed off neighbor half of the time, and he is a likable guy other times. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your dad is present in your life and treats you with common courtesy and respect. Stepdad doesn't. Why would you look up to someone who treats you badly? Stepdad wants Opie to stay home so he can charge him rent. What? Keep that goal of moving out in 6 months. Don't let this a-hole man stop you. Not the a-hole at all. Not the a-hole. Your stepdad went completely out of line. He went on a rant about disrespect even though he was disrespecting you since you met him. Congrats on your job and good luck. Thanks. Not the a-hole. He's only looking at you as a source of money. Why does your mom put up with how he treats you? Or is she happy that you are escaping his BS? My mom has the same views as my dad. She doesn't really like his tantrums, but she usually goes the mile to justify his behavior. Last story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for making a derogative comment regarding my cousin's finances in response to her criticizing my moral character?" Context. I'm 28 male, a commercial solicitor, and one of the clients my firm represents is a bank. Said bank is embroiled in a scandal involving the financing of a Southeast Asian operation accused of child slavery. The bank's alleged fault lies in their failure to properly vet the operation before financing it. Neither I nor my firm are representing the bank on that matter. Not that that distinction mattered to my cousin Camilla, 29 female. Camilla is a staunch human rights activist, and she has been vehemently critical of the bank. For the record, I'm unequivocally opposed to child slavery. Obviously. But this situation isn't that simple. Firstly, the accusations of child slavery is just that. Accusations. Secondly, should the accusations proved true, the bank is only culpable if their vetting process is proven to be substandard. This is because it's not reasonable, or even possible, to expect an institution's vetting process to be flawless. The conflict. And that's what I told Camilla when she asked for my opinion on the scandal at the dinner last night. She wasn't pleased with my response, and the discussion quickly devolved into her insulting me with labels such as child slaver by association. But after being accused of selling my soul for blood money for the upteenth time, I snapped and retorted, "It's just a job, Camilla. Maybe if you had one, your parents wouldn't have to resort to asking for charity from family." Why I might be the a-hole. The pandemic cost both of Camilla's parents their jobs. The extended family pooled together a donation to help Camilla's family get back on their feet. I myself contributed $1,000 to this fund. But what was Camilla doing while her family struggled? She chose to study full-time while living at home at the ripe old age of 29. Admittedly, she does bartend part-time. Regardless, the topic is a sensitive one, and my bringing it up might have been overly harsh. Why I think my actions are justified. Firstly, Camilla's argument has no ground to stand on. Like I've stated before, neither my firm nor I are representing the bank on this matter. But even if I was, I have exactly zero influence over which clients and cases my firm takes on. And even if I did, everyone is entitled to a legal defense regardless of how egregious the accusations levied against them are. Secondly, how does Camilla have the gall to accuse me of trading my soul for blood money, while simultaneously being more than happy to accept that same blood money when it is convenient for her? Am I the a-hole? Everyone sucks here. To a degree, I think you both are. I don't think you are an a-hole for doing your job. Financial institutions have a tough role in terms of vetting customers, and as an independent party, it's certainly nothing to do with you. I think it wasn't fair of you to make a jab about her family, even though it sounds like there was truth in it. But she also needs to get off her high horse and live in the real world. I don't know if the jab was really an a-hole behavior. I mean, he contributed $1,000 to the fund for Cousin's family, which is no small sum, only to have to listen to Cousin's diatribe and name-slinging about how he earned said money. Not the a-hole. She chose to pick an argument at the family dinner. You gave her a chance to stop. When she didn't, you shut her down. Everyone sucks here. You both suck and said nasty things to each other. The blood money thing sounds like total BS. And anyway, that kind of dinner party activism is just nonsense. You want to be a staunch human rights activist? Then go do something constructive or disruptive or even arguably destructive. Not yell at your at most tangentially 6 degrees of separation removed from the problem cousin over dinner. But you suck too, OP. Because you attacked her employment status and threw her family's poverty in her face. I would say she sucks more if it matters to you, because she did start it. I don't know. If you're begging for money and someone donates $1,000 to you, I should think there is an obligation to remain civil at least with that person. Especially since the person has no interest in you and wants to be left in peace.